Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and for the next 2 weeks, the Great Race will be active inside the game. This is your opportunity to prove that you are the fastest tank driver in the world, right? Get together with 2 allies either in a random matchup, or maybe you can platoon up with 2 of your friends to take on 3 opponents to reach the finish line first, where then it will be a fight to be able to cap an encounter style shared cap circle. Or if capping isn't your thing, shoot your enemies to death. There's lots of unique rewards that you're going to be able to get if you're willing to invest the time in the event, including unique styles, but more importantly, unique commanders that you'll be able to keep after the event finishes. These commanders have a 0 skill Brothers-in-Arms perk and additional experience to be able to train 2 entire skills on top of that. But before we really go into depth on all of the rewards and how long I think it's going to be taking you to be able to get them, let's take a look at what the race is all about. How do you race inside World of Tanks? Well, firstly, you log in, and then you've got 3 different vehicles to choose from. If you're wondering how you can manage to quick select these vehicles, or if they're not showing up inside your garage, then make sure you click the racing vehicles filter that you'll find in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, there are 3 different vehicles. There's the T50, the Leopard Sport, and also the Chaffee Sport. The Chaffee Sport is kind of the all-rounder. It's the middle ground for top speed at 110 kilometers an hour. It doesn't have the fastest 0 to 100 time at 3 seconds. It's got medium gun handling, but it does have impressive alpha damage at 40. Its reload of 3 seconds is positively average compared to the T50. This one, the worst top speed limit of 100, but gets there faster, so if you crash, you'll be able to get up to speed faster than the Chaffee or the Leopard will be able to. You've got higher damage per minute, but less damage per shot, and the handling of this vehicle is excellent, so you can wiggle around corners or be able to outmaneuver your opponents. However, if German efficient engineering is more your thing, if you are Vorsprung Dutch technique, is that what the Audi slogan is? I don't know, maybe, possibly, I think it is. I've been affected too much by advertising, obviously. I should know, as I kind of make all my money on YouTube with advertising. Anyway, let's move on. So the German vehicle, the Leopard, 120 kilometers an hour top speed limit. This is the fastest tank, but it does take 3.5 seconds to be able to reach that. So if you crash, you're not going to get up to speed quickly, so watch out for that. The handling of the vehicle is also low, so you're going to have to watch out around corners, but it does actually have a little autoloader. 6 damage and 12 shots means that you are going to be able to deal 72 damage in a single burst to your opponents. Fantastic for reasons which I'll be showing you when we get stuck into the gameplay. Alright, so 3, 2, 1... go, I guess. Alright, so I'm playing in the Chaffee. This is the mid one. It's not quite the fastest. It's not got quite the best DPM. It's not quite the best at anything, but what it is well-rounded, and it has some significant alpha damage. Alright, so our opponents spawn on the other side of the barrier. We spawn on this side of the barrier, and there's no way to kind of interchange until later on in the race. Although I'm sure that somebody's probably going to find a way to bug it. If you do, let me know in the comments down below if there are ways to be able to actually transition into your opponent's side very early on in the combat. Alright, so important things to know. As you can see, the Wargaming's UI is actually pretty cool. You can see who's in the lead with the designation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But also, another important thing to mention, these red barriers designate where the barriers are shorter. And where the barriers are shorter, you can shoot over them. And so, don't just fire willy-nilly. Wait for opportunities like this, where you jump over and then hopefully you can manage to shoot us on your way down. Or alternatively, shoot here. When you go past the red barrier, that's your opportunity to be able to tag your opponents. Now, you would have noticed as well, the little Leopard on the enemy team there was spraying and praying at us. The Leopard does feel absolute. Look at it, I just got overtaken by a Leopard Sport. And that's because that one's able to go at 120 kilometers an hour, while I'm only limited to 100. So what is this overdrive business that you can see here? Well, what overdrive is when you press your 4 key, you use your consumable, and you're able to go in a nice, big, bursty, extra speed for a little while. Now, it's great to do, in my opinion, along the straight parts. I think if you do it along the straight parts, you can kind of really go up on the speedometer, as we can see in the bottom left-hand corner. But I find if you use it on corners that it's not really all of that useful. Man, my team, we're all neck and neck here, just trying to jostle to try and get into position, but one of the enemies has already managed to make it far out in front. I don't think we're going to be catching that Leopard Sport anymore. And that Leopard Sport just absolutely nailed us there. Now, one thing that's interesting about all of these vehicles is they actually have extra armor on the back of the tank. Do you see all of these plates that have been welded onto the back? And so you can use that as your opportunity, if you get ahead of your allies, to shoot back on their frontal armor, which is actually much weaker. And so that's where it's an advantage to not try and be out in front, because obviously otherwise you could just kind of hang back behind your opponents and just shoot them in the back, and it'd be harder for them to be able to shoot you, right? So it is definitely an advantage to be in the front and shooting back against your opponents because of the extra armor. Alright, so here we go. Now the barrier has ended. The race part of this is over, and now it's on to... Well, actually, no, the race is still going on, but this is our opportunity to start to smash our enemies a little bit more. I'd really love to overtake this guy, because do you see that repair icon in front? There are 3 different levels of repair. The first person gets plus 25%, the second person gets plus 15%, and the final person, the third spot, gets a 10% repair. And so that's significant because the enemy leopard who managed to finish in first place actually repaired 25% of their vehicle. That means that they're going to be on more health and they're going to be able to jostle for the fight towards the end. So in this situation, what you want to do is you can see that the enemies are actually trying to cap out. You see those numbers above their head that are increasing? It's currently saying 28 for the leopard on my left, 4 for the Chaffee Sport. That's their total cap points. And what you want to do is you want to shoot your opponents one by one to be able to reset the cap points. But also what I've noticed is that if you're on low hit points like me, where you've only got 400 hit points, the worst thing you can do is actually go out into the open and get focused on by your opponents. And so I like to actually hang around the outside, the fringes of the fight, and engage my opponents one by one and try and focus them down. And then if you can try and take the enemies out of the fight, then you can actually manage to win. So we managed to get one of our allies has been taken out, but we just shut down one of the enemies as well. And you can see that the enemies aren't stupid. They want to focus me. They want to focus me to be able to shut me down so that they get a gun out the fight. But I'm not going to let them do that. Instead, I'm going to try and help my leopard be able to isolate. You can see the Chaffee Sport on the other side of the battle only wants to shoot me. And understandably, I've only got 48 hit points left. But I'm going to use the barrier on my left to avoid getting shot by the Chaffee on the side, and I'm going to focus the leopard down. And now we're on 9 hit points. If I get hit one more time, I'm out this game. And so I ask the Chaffee on my team to hide and to work with me and to follow me. And look at this. Look how fast we're going to be able to cap. We vanquished 2 of the opponents. We've got no hit points left, but we are going to cap in 3, 2, 1... Great stuff, completely outplayed. Smash this Chaffee on the enemy team. He's got more hit points than both of us combined by a factor of 2 or 3. And yeah, we do get a deserved win. And a rather sneaky play, showing you that while the race part is important to be able to repair your tank and to deny the repair to the enemy team, it's also very much about how you tactically do it at the end of the battle as well. And finishing the first to be able to get all of those hit points will allow you to have a hit point advantage against your opponents, to be able to then whittle them down one by one, and then get an advantage with the number of tanks that you have to be able to cap out. And when it's 2 versus 1, you can pretty much just avoid them with some careful driving. You can shut them down very quickly indeed. So after you complete the battle, you're going to get the battle results screen showing you all of the different trophies and achievements that you got. So I got 35 points for the battle that you just witnessed, and that is broken down to the 5 different rewards that we got. We only missed 1 that I'll talk about in just a second. Alright, so we got the Perfect Race achievement. That gives us 5 points and 1 trophy. And it's a reward for winning a race, so do everything that you can to win. We also got Track Dominator. This is a trophy and an additional 5 points as well for winning in the race and participating in the successful capture of a base and earn at least 1 capture point. So when you win, even if you're trying to destroy the last ally, still make sure you do it inside the cap circle and you don't hang around on the outside, otherwise you won't get that additional trophy. We also got Race Rage. What's Race Rage? Cause at least 500 hit points of damage to enemy vehicles. Okay, so we actually missed out on this one. It's called Grease Lightning, and this is if you're the first to the finish line. So only 1 person can get that, so it's a little bit brutal. Alright, Victory at Any Cost will give you 10 points and 1 trophy, and this is if you win the race and you also cause at least 1,000 damage to enemy vehicles, so try and achieve that one if you can. And then finally, Rapid Fire. That is if you win the race and you cause damage to 3 different enemy vehicles. And so don't just focus on 1 player. Try and tag at least all of 3 of the enemy players once, and then focus on 1 player, because it will give you an additional trophy. But as a lot of these have shown you, it's all about winning. You can't get 4 of these trophies unless you win. Unless you're the first to the finish line, I guess you can get 1 even if you lose, and you can get rage to get 500 hit points even if you lose. But to be able to get 4 of them, you actually have to win the race. And I'm not meaning win the race by being first to the finish line. I mean win the race as in cap the circle at the end or just kill all of your opponents. So the reason why this is important and the why I highlight the difference between a trophy and a point, because it was a little bit confusing for me to try and figure out how this exactly worked out. And that's because if all you want to do is to get the 3 unique commanders, then to be able to unlock each of the different fragments for the commander, for which I have 1 out of 20 so far, you need to get 7 trophies. So that means that it's actually impossible to be able to unlock 1 fragment for each race you complete. You're only going to be able to get 6 trophies at most if you play very well and you finish first and you win and you do 1,000 damage. Damage 3 different tanks, you get some cap points as well at the end. More often than not, you're probably going to get about 3 trophies. So that means that you're probably going to be able to get 1 fragment every 2 to 3 races. And it looks like there's 60 different fragments to get. So yeah, I think if you want to unlock all of these commanders without spending any gold, then you're going to have to probably play, I'd say, at least 100 to 200 of these races. So the next thing's a little scary, that you actually can't just spam the races all the time. You can only have 5 races, I believe, every half an hour or every hour, unless I'm mistaken. And once you've used up all 5 of your races, then a cooldown starts until you can play it again, a lot like with the arcade game mode. So effectively what Wargaming are doing are putting their progress through gated progression. So you can't simply go in and just keep spamming races until you have all the fragments to be able to unlock the commanders. You're going to have to do it over a longer period of time. Now the next thing that's confusing about the race, the great race, is that you have to pick your commander of one of 3 different factions. Now I chose Clutch because I just went on my favorite color, but I'm already noticing that Clutch is far behind the Moistion Turbo. And so this means that I'm probably going to actually just not get all of the rewards that I possibly could do if I just picked the Moistion team. And considering I'm on the European server, why would I pick the Russian guy? I should have probably picked the German guy, right? And surely this seems a little bit dumb, because why wouldn't everybody just pick the same commander so they can manage to get 10 times, 5 times experience missions and 3 of the styles for their different commander? I guess unless you really actually just want the kind of color that you're going to be able to get from picking your commander. And in my opinion, it's a great shame that more people aren't picking the red team, because I don't know, man, red and black, in my opinion, looks so much better than green and black or even blue and black. So if you guys still haven't picked a team yet, just consider helping out Team Red. We're currently the underdogs. We need a little bit of support, boys and girls. So while the trophies that you collect, every 7 of them will unlock a fragment to help you get a new commander, the racing points that you earn get totaled towards your team's total progress in the campaign. So that's how the different stages, of which there are 5 of them, one team will be declared the winner, and then I presume then you're also going to be getting the 5 times experience and the special styles for your team on each of the different stages. On the other hand, the points that you get will unlock a variety of things. If you get 150 points, you get a crew skin of the team's racer. 200 points is 100,000 credits and the King of the Road medal. 300 points, another crew skin of the team's racer. Looks like you can get quite a few crew skins of the team's racer, boys and girls. 400 points, 200% to your crew experience for 2 hours. Yeah, not really too special. 1,000 points, 50%. Combat experience for 2 hours. Oh, again, not really too special. But I guess the real cool things are that there's a unique style called American Fireball style that you can get at 1,400 points. And then every 100 points that you get on top of that unlocks once a day, you can actually get yourself 50 gold. And so if you're a free-to-play player and you race towards the finish line, so to say, and get those 1,400 points, for each additional 100 points that you get 50 gold. Which is pretty okay, because if you do very well, that's about 3 to 5 races, depending on how well you play. And so all in all, I think the Great Race is a fun return of the Chaffee races that there was a huge amount of issues with about 4 or 5 years ago, with the fact that you could fire premium rounds that actually cost you quite a lot of credits, and it was kind of pay to win. This year's race has no pay to win aspects, which definitely gets a huge thumbs up from me, but I really don't like the gated progression inside them. One thing that I really should have mentioned is there's actually a fantastic opportunity for you all, if you do play the races, to be able to unlock 5 times experience for your regular tanks. If you manage to win a battle, or be an invader, deal 500 damage and just win the race, or even be the top player, as in the first one across the finish line, you can unlock 5 times experience 4 times each day. That's huge. That's a huge amount of crew training. And to be honest, you can unlock most of these by just doing really well in a single race. And so it's definitely worth investing your time into just 1 or 2 races at the start of a session, and then be able to use those juicy 5 times experience multipliers to be able to progress in the random queue. The only thing I really don't like about the race is the fact that the races are limited, and it kind of just feels as if Wargaming are gating your progression for the sake of it to force you to have to play each and every day, or more importantly, log in, do your 5 races, then play on your desktop, or I guess what Wargaming really want you to do is to play the random queues to wait for another 5 races and then do it all over again. It feels as if they're doing this purely to try and slow people from progressing through, which kind of detracts a little bit of the fun of the races. And while I think the rewards are really cool, I think that the requirements might be just a little bit too high. I understand that Wargaming don't want to give 3 Brothers-in-Arms commanders out for free, but the idea of collecting 60 fragments, which is 420 trophies, which is undoubtedly at least 100 to 200 to possibly 300 chaffy races to be able to unlock all of the commanders without actually spending gold on, is definitely a really high ask. The actual racing itself is really fun, at least for the first couple of races, but then I really feel like it's just missing something. It's missing a little bit of skill, boys and girls. There's no opportunities to maybe avoid slicks on the track that would have slowed you down, or skillful ways to drive to be able to take a shortcut to avoid some of the track. The power-ups don't really feel as if they reward intelligent play, or shall I say skilled driving either, like in Mario Kart, right? There's no power-ups that you have to collect or have to try and steal away from your opponents. The only power-up, so to say, in the entire thing is just you finishing the race first, second, or third to repair a bit of your tank to be able to then cap out. I'd really liked it if there had been maybe like some rockets, or a way for you to power up a big alpha damage shell, or even Wargaming could have tested some of their new double barrel tanks inside this game mode. Just a little bit of extra to give people a reason who are wanting to play this for hundreds of races, the incentive to keep practicing and just to get better and better and better. Anyway, that's all you need to know about the Great Race. Hopefully this video was useful, or maybe you just enjoyed it. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down, and let me know in the comments what you think about the Great Race. Have you tried it out yourself? What did you think of it? Do you think it was great? Did you think it was awful? What do you think about the rewards that you're able to collect? And do you think that they're significant enough to be able to encourage you to invest the kind of time that you are going to have to if you want to unlock all of them? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.